All right, welcome everybody to our Zoom meeting tonight. We're super excited to have Katy with us to go over the portfolios. For those of you that are showing for the first time, the portfolio is something that everyone is required to do if you are showing and selling an animal, and they will be due on October 1st. We also let's see. So yeah, everyone's required to do them. They're due October 1st. And if you have any questions, tonight's a great time to ask Katy. She is awesome. She's judged some of our portfolios in the past. And she also is an elementary teacher and is excellent at grammar and formatting. So we're super excited to have her share all of her knowledge with us tonight. And we'll go ahead and turn the time over to her. And if you have questions, you can raise your hand or send them in the chat and we'll keep an eye on that.
Okay, thanks so much, Holly. Hi, everyone. It's so good to be with you tonight. I had to do some researching on portfolios because they have changed a ton since when I was in 4-H. But yes, please ask any questions. And I'll do my best to answer them. And hopefully we have some other experts here that can help us. I see Reagan on the call, and I'm sure Holly and Kirsten also have some good knowledge with portfolios, but I'm going to go ahead and share my screen really quickly. So just bear with me for a second.
Oh, and real quick, sorry, Katy. I don't
No,
mean
you're
to
great. Go
interrupt.
ahead.
If everyone could type their name into the chat so that we can take attendance for the meeting, that would be great too. Okay, I think that's it. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Okay, perfect. And I'm just kind of curious. So maybe when you type your name in the chat, can you just tell me how many years you've been in 4-H? Just so I kind of have an idea if we have like newer members or some that are kind of older and how deep I need to go into the training. That would be great. Okay, Amber Lee, that's so exciting. Yay, I'm so glad that you're doing 4-H. I'll just kind of keep an eye on that and I'll get started because I don't want to waste your time tonight. And Will and Wade, we're so happy you're here. Okay, perfect. Okay, I'm just gonna kind of go over what we'll cover tonight. So I'll just kind of tell you a little bit about me. I know Holly did a great job doing that at the beginning. And then kind of why they switched the portfolio to like a more of a resume cover letter type thing. And then the different requirements. We'll talk about some resume tips and some cover letter tips. And then I'll give you kind of some helpful tips at the end, just from what I've seen when I judged some portfolios last year. So I grew up here, for those of you that don't know me, and I was really involved in 4-H and sports. And like Holly said, I've been an elementary teacher for 10 years, and I really feel like 4-H, like being a part of that program, has kind of helped me be where I am today with like the hard work and learning responsibility and the great things that 4-H teaches us. So this is just a picture of my family for those of you that don't Noah is my husband's colt, and then Hattie's my daughter, and we just had a little baby. He's almost 1. His name's Wesley. Okay, sorry, dang, there should be a picture here, and it's actually, let me exit out of it. Maybe you guys can see it. Oh yeah, there we go. I'll try that again. Oh, shoot. Okay, so hopefully you can see this picture. I want to kind of highlight Cami Dotson. So why do we do portfolios, and how can they be beneficial to us? Because it takes a lot of time to do them. So 96% of youth will use the skills that they learn in 4-H when they are learning to write their resumes to apply for jobs later and to apply for college scholarships and to even apply to colleges. It just gives you some great skills in that area. And then if you can see closely, sorry, I know that it's kind of small, I'll zoom in a little bit, but Cami, she got to wear these cool, the honor cords from 4-H because she sent in her portfolio to the state 4-H contest. And so when she graduated just a couple weeks ago, she got to wear these cords. So that was kind of cool. And then make sure to double check with Reagan, but I know Reagan was able to get a really pretty great scholarship through her record book. That's what they used to be called. Sorry, record books, portfolios, whatever. But when she graduated college, she was able to get a scholarship, or when she graduated high school, sorry, she used her record book to get a scholarship. So just kind of keep that in mind and make sure to check with her. Okay, so then let's talk about some requirements. So Holly kind of touched on this, but every junior livestock exhibitor that will sell an animal needs to turn in a portfolio that includes a resume, a cover letter, and a project report form. And I'll kind of talk about each of those in here in a minute. And then if you're going to the state 4-H horse show, there is a requirement that you have a portfolio. So just wanted to touch on that really quickly. So let's jump into writing a resume. So really, this is just a cumulative summary of your background, your skills, and your accomplishments that you've been able to achieve through 4-H. And really, it's just kind of a picture of like what you have done throughout all the years of 4-H. And you're just going to update it each year. So if you're a first year, this kind of is going to seem a little kind of overwhelming a little bit because you have to make it from scratch, but I'm going to show you that there's some ways where you can get some templates that kind of just, you can type into it and it already has it done for you. So they have made it a little bit easier, but as you get older, you kind of just add to it. So it makes it a little bit easier. And you just want the most pertinent information to be on your resume because it really is kind of just a 1 or 2 page document, and you just want kind of the most important details. So it doesn't need to be this huge, so many different little bullet points. You just kind of want it clear and concise. So there's 6 different areas that you want on your resume. So your project involvement, your 4-H activities and experiences, then your awards and recognitions in 4-H, 4-H leadership experiences, and then your 4-H community service. And then at the very end, you can add some non-4-H experiences. So when I was in 4-H, I'm kid you not, my mom had this, like, you know, those yellow notebooks, and we would just write on it throughout the whole year, like starting with weigh-in, or even before that when we had to like halter break our steers, we would write down like the hours we spent, and it just kind of is an easy way to track your hours and your meetings and the expenses, because when you do this project report form, you just kind of want all of that handy so that you can just drop it in really fast and add everything up. So I would just recommend kind of keeping track of things, whether that's on a notebook or like on a note on your phone or anything that you can just kind of refer to when you get to this point. And then when you're formatting your resume, again, it should not be more than 2 pages. When you're kind of early on, 1 page is probably great. And then as you get to be a senior, 2 pages can work. But you're just going to start here at the top where you're going to put in your contact information. And then you're going to include the 6 sections that we talked about just on the last slide. And then photos really aren't encouraged. So on a job resume too, they don't really want them. They just kind of want the information there. And you can add a little bit of color to make it stand out, but it doesn't need to be super decorated. Just really professional, I'll give you kind of an example. And I wanted to talk to you about Canva. So I'm going to show you what Canva looks like for those of you that have never used Canva. I'm pretty sure there's a free version of Canva, but you can just create a design and just type in resume and it will pop up with a bunch of different templates. So over here on the side, you can just see how I mean, these do have pictures on them, but, and you can definitely add a picture if you want to, but they're just not super encouraged even in the job field. So you can see this one has a little bit of color, and then like this one would be good where there's just, a tiny bit of blue, but you can see they're pretty simple. So not too fancy with decorations and stuff. So you're definitely welcome to add color if you want to, but you definitely don't need it. So just check out Canva if you are interested in that. And let's talk about, make sure I got all that. Okay. Some experience tips. I don't know why my pictures aren't working. I'm so sorry. Let me refresh that real quick. Yes, because I really wanted to show you guys this picture. It was one of my favorites that I came across of how to kind of format your resume. I really liked it a lot. So you can see there's a little bit of color. They've got green. I think green would be kind of cool because that's the 4-H colors. Up here at the top, this is where the contact information would be. I'm sure the kid's name is probably here where that really big black space is. And then they probably just have like their phone number, their address, and maybe their email or something. And then I liked how they put their project involvement here on the side, kind of in a big column. And you can see this is where they put in, like if you were showing a sheep, you would put it here, or a steer or whatever. And then this is where you can put in your expenses and your income. So I thought that was kind of cool, a cool way to format it. And then you just really want your bullet points to be pretty concise. So you can start with the year first. You can put the year at the end. It really doesn't matter as long as you start with the most current information at the top. So whatever you've done most recently should start at the top. And then one thing I've learned when writing resumes is to start with a power verb. We'll talk about that on the next slide a little bit more. And make sure that your most current details are pretty detailed. And then it can kind of get like a little bit less with your older years. Like you don't have to put in so much detail because that's kind of older information. So just keep your most current information really detailed. And I think I said that. Yeah, you can add the dates at the end or the beginning. This person added them at the beginning, but then down here you can see under their awards and recognition, they put the date at the end. So I don't think it really matters, but I would say if you're I would do it one way or the other. Put your dates either at the beginning or at the end. Okay, so let's talk about some power verbs. These are some great verbs over here on the side. So like instead of saying I went to a meeting, you could say attended 30 hours of meetings for my club or something like that. Participated, collaborated, awarded, researched, studied, conducted, acquired skills in, discovered, observed, assisted, collected, and led. So an example of this would be instead of saying learned how to fit a steer, you could try this, describing it like this: acquired skills in steer fitting by attending a fitting clinic. And then you would put the year that you did that. So this would be a great slide to like screenshot with your phone if you wanted to. And I know that it's being recorded as well. So I'm sure Holly will send this out in an email later on. And before I go on, does anyone have any questions? I'm not seeing any in the chat, but please, if you have any, I would love to kind of slow down if I'm going too fast. So organizing your experiences. I noticed I judged intermediates last year. And so one thing I noticed was you can see in this example, this first example, a lot of the activities are exactly the same for every single year. So you can see like competed in 6 events during 2 different competitions. This person listed that every single year. So instead, what I would do is I would kind of organize it this way. where you can kind of group similar experiences or the same experience and just put like a date range. So if you did that every single year, I would say competed in 6 events at various 4-H horse competitions. And then I would say that you did that 2019 through 2021. So just kind of organizing it in a way where you can make sure that resume stays within 1 page instead of getting super long. It can kind of get overwhelming to a judge. And it just makes it look a little bit neater. So I just kind of showed you an example of how I would take this where they listed every single year and just kind of join it into one section where the dates are at the end. So that was just something I noticed while I was judging. And then here's another example. This is from that same resume that I really liked. You can see here at the top for 2019, this person was the Box Elder 4-H County Ambassador, and they just kind of put some of the skills that they did during that time. So they volunteered, they resolved problems, positively promoted, collaborated with team leaders. So you can kind of see. And then for the awards and recognition, they got a blue ribbon on their state 4-H portfolio, and they did it for 3 years in a row. So they put every year there instead of listing it out, every single year. It kind of makes it look a little bit neater. So that was just something that I noticed. So if there aren't any questions with resumes, let's move on to cover letters. And I want to kind of say the resume really is just kind of short little bullet points. And then you can elaborate more in your cover letter. So if you're kind of writing your bullet points and you're thinking, oh, I just like, this is getting kind of long, this bullet point, just think like, oh, I'll make it a little bit shorter and then I can talk more about it in the cover letter. So kind of keep that in mind. This one, there is a prompt that you need to follow with your cover letter. So when you write it, I'm going to kind of break down what each paragraph should be, but you're just going to address the requirements and the responsibilities that are listed in that objective, and then really highlight your skills and your experiences a lot deeper than your resume. And this one is only 1 page. So this is the objective that I think all of you will follow, because I'm pretty sure I don't think there's anyone who does horses, but the horse objective is pretty similar to this one. So these 4 objectives are what you're going to cover in your cover letter. So think of each one of them as being a different paragraph. So the first one is to summarize your current project and then really outline the skills that you learned in that year and the goals that you've achieved. And then in your next paragraph, you'll talk about your leadership experiences. And then the next one is community service. And then the 4th paragraph is how has being involved in 4-H impacted your life? And, you could also talk about some goals that you want to try for next year, and how you'll kind of push yourself and grow using 4-H. So let's break down these a little bit better. But formatting your resume, you're just going to start with your address again at the top, and then the 4-H office's address, the date that you write it. And even if you write it like, you write it and then you go ahead and revise it, you'll want to update the date. So make sure the date is your most current revision. And then the position that you're applying for, this one I don't think had that there, but I will show you another example that did. And then you're going to address the committee. So this person said, "Dear Portfolio Committee." You could also say, "To whom it may concern." And then again, same thing I said earlier, the first paragraph, talk about your current project. Second paragraph, highlight the leadership skills that you've acquired and really kind of focus on the current year, but also talk about some of your past leadership experiences. And then the third paragraph, same thing, highlight the community service. And then the 4th paragraph, to talk about how 4-H has impacted your life. And then you'll end with your signature, like the closing and the signature. You can see that this person actually has 5 paragraphs, and that's okay. I think it's totally fine to kind of add your own flair to it. So if you have kind of a funny story or just something interesting that you want to elaborate on and it starts to take up a little bit more space, you can definitely add a paragraph. So this is just something that makes it really easy to remember, is just trying to address those 4 different components, because on the rubric, that's what the judges are judging them on, is just making sure that you address those 4 different areas. So it's your choice if you want to go a little bit deeper, but if you want to just kind of cover what the judges are looking for, just make sure you hit those 4 points. And then, so when you address your cover letter, we kind of talked about this. You got your address, and sorry, this one is blacked out. I just took a screenshot. The current date, the 4-H office's address, and then the title of the application. So for you guys, it would be 4-H Junior Livestock. I think, right, Reagan? Correct me if I'm wrong on that. And then the address who you're writing to or who you're applying, who's going to be
Yeah,
reading.
you could just put like the 4-H junior livestock portfolio or something like that.
Okay. Okay, perfect. Okay, so I kind of already went through this, but I'll just kind of summarize again. So that first paragraph, I would say that this is about 4 to 5 sentences. So really just start with a super short introductory sentence. So you could just start by saying like, I've been in 4-H for 3 years, and this year my current project was blah, blah, blah. And just kind of introduce your project. And then go ahead and talk about what you learned, and then add about 2 to 3 more sentences about any knowledge or skills that you gained for your current project and any goals that you achieved. For your second paragraph, this is where you describe your leadership experiences and how you've grown as a person. So here's some example starter sentences. So my experience, and then you can identify your strongest qualification. So like my experience as the Breakfast Club secretary gave me the skills and knowledge to, and just kind of elaborate on what you did in your role with leadership, and just really highlight any important skills. I know some of you probably aren't going to have like a role or a job in your club, and so I'll kind of give you some pointers on that at the end. But if you are able to, try to get nominated for a leadership role within your club, because that is really what the judges are going to be looking for, is your leadership within your club and within your 4-H community. So those are great because it just kind of ties into this really easily. But if you are able to, I'll give you some tips at the end. Your third paragraph is about community service and really how those service projects affected your community. So I would talk about probably your most current community service project that you did. I know that one of the clubs over in the Lake Town Garden City area, they do a really cool one at Christmas time, where I think they get a meal together for like a family in need. So this doesn't have to be part of your club. So kind of keep that in mind, that you don't have to do community service projects that your club does. You can do your own, or get together with some other members in your 4-H group and try to come up with some community service ideas. I know that they always do the barn cleanup, but you can also get kind of creative with your projects. So, and I know some of you don't have a lot of time, so I know that it can get really hard in the summer because you get busy, but just make sure that you touch on this a little bit and really talk about how it affects your community, because that's what's going to be on the rubric. So your fourth and final paragraph, this is where you just kind of sum it up and really talk about how your 4-H experience has impacted your life and how it will continue to impact it after 4-H is over. So you could even talk about your plans for college or what career you want to take, like that path, and any leadership roles that you're going to want to try for. Just kind of keep this like probably about 4 sentences long. So, and how your experiences will prepare you for the future. And then you just end with your signature. So I just like to use like a cursive font, and you can just say sincerely. So it's pretty easy at the end to wrap it up. So just a few helpful tips that I've seen. Sorry, my thing's in the way, but first one is just try to get involved. Try to make it to your meetings and make sure to track those hours and write really detailed notes for like what you did when you went to meetings, because that can all really help. Because I know that when you kind of have to put it all together like in October-ish or in the fall, you're already back in school. So it's kind of hard to remember what you did in the summer. So just kind of get a notebook together and start keeping track of your hours and any detailed notes of things that you learned. Again, try to get nominated for a leadership position in your club. And you can even get really creative. Like, I know that some clubs can have like someone who's in charge of just making the phone calls, like, and train or text, like texting people to remind them to come to the club meetings. And you could even have like someone who's in charge of calling people to bring snacks. Like, your club doesn't have to just have like a president and a secretary and a vice president. You can make it a little bit more creative so that you can have a leadership position in your club. And if you aren't able to, so I know that some of you are younger and you probably won't hold a leadership position, reach out to your club leader and ask them if you can help the president plan an activity, or if you can help the leader plan an activity, because those also count as leadership activities. So just make sure to try to get at least a few, or even just one if you're just starting out. And then again, get creative with your community service, and this can happen with or without your club. And then remember to not overwhelm the judge. Like, you don't have to, you're not getting brownie points for having the longest resume. You just want a really simple put together resume. So try to format it really in a way that makes it really easy to read and get through. And then if you're just starting out, just remember to give yourself grace, because it takes a while to build up a lot of activities and to make your resume look really full. So if you're just starting out and this is your first year, don't get discouraged if your resume is kind of just looks really small and there's not a lot of activities, because you'll get more as you go through it. So those are just some helpful tips. And sorry, this is kind of short. So if you have any questions, I would love to answer them. And if not, Holly is going to be sending you an email with some more information. And I also wanted to show you, this is where I got most of my information for the training, but I'll make sure Holly puts this in the email as well. So one really great thing, so the cover letter objectives, they're just right here. So you can click on the objective and it will tell you exactly what you need to have in your cover letter. And then if you go a little bit further, the portfolio course was actually really helpful. And then this is what's kind of great. There's actually templates here. So you can click on this and it will just have this resume already ready for you. So you can just drop in your information, and that makes it so nice and easy. And then same thing with the cover letter. I loved this one because you pretty much just have to write your own information in the green parts. So it kind of gives you some ideas. So it's a great place to start if you're just starting out. And I think that was all. There were some other just examples over here. I'm trying to remember where my favorite one was, but you can see just how different kids format their resumes. This is just a great website to show you some more examples. So I will stop sharing my screen, and you can ask any questions, or I'll just kind of let Holly wrap things up.
Thank you so much, Katie. We really appreciate that. Does anybody have any questions for her? Okay, well, awesome. Also, I wanted to add that if you guys have your portfolios put together and you're like stumped on an area, or you want to have someone take a look at it, or even just edit it, proofread it, we'd love to help you in the office anytime. So you can bring it by and we'd be happy to help you. If you have any questions at all, please reach out. Reagan, am I missing anything?
No, I don't think so. I think it's good that we're having this early, because that gives you guys something to think about. So as you go throughout your summer, you can track the important things. But just like Katie and Holly said, this meeting's going to be recorded and we'll make sure we post it on our YouTube page. So if you need to revisit this training, we'll have it up on our YouTube. and always reach out if you have questions.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. Well, thank you guys all so much for joining tonight, and we will see you guys at our next meeting.